July of 2002. Nothing special going on in my life. Same old, same old. So let's get to the books that I read in July of 2002. And the first one was Website Story by Robert Rankin. Another punny title for a funny horror book. This one turns out that the Y2K bug was real, except that it's actually a weird virus that can jump from computer to human, and it may be causing the rapture because people are disappearing slash melting. The story takes place in Brentford, in England, and it's just a bunch of different characters dealing with weird people, weird events. Is it the rapture? How are we stopping this virus? Why does my boss hate me? Just that very British humor type of stuff. Website Story, Robert Rankin. It's got video games and all sorts of stuff in it. It's wild. Then we have The Cabinet of Curiosities by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. This is, I believe, the third Pendergast story. The hero from Relic and Reliquary, the FBI agent. And in this one, 30, 36 bodies are found, tortured, mutilated, murdered from over 100 years ago. And Pendergast is called in and to investigate, and then all of a sudden it seems as if these murders are happening again. Not like the 100 bodies they found, or 36 bodies they found being re-murdered. New murders that match what they think happened over 100 years ago. Huge fan of Preston and Child's work. Huge fan of the character Pendergast. So, yeah, fantastic book. Not necessarily my favorite in the series that I've read. I haven't even read all of them. But definitely a good book. We'll get to one of my favorites in an upcoming video. The Cabinet of Curiosities, Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. After that, we have If You're Talking to Me, Your Career Must Be in Trouble by Joe Queenan. Queenan? Queenan. This is 75 essays and interviews from Joe Queenan, reprinted from a number of different sources, different magazines and things, newspapers, all about Hollywood, or the interviews with people from Hollywood. He's a very snarky writer, so there's a lot of some punching up, but a little bit of punching down with people. But basically, again, just essays on the state of Hollywood, the state of movies, and interviews with some of the people in that industry. But as I always say, I like this kind of behind the scenes or analytical or just funny approach to looking at pop culture. Then we have Vampires with a $sign at the end instead of an S. Vampires by John Steakley. And this is the book that John Carpenter made into the movie John Carpenter's Vampires. And our main character is Jack Crow. He runs Vampires Inc., which is a mercenary group essentially that hunts vampires. And after a hunt goes bad and he loses some of his team members, he gets a replacement sent from the Vatican. I thought they were Vatican supported, or just straight from the whole group was straight from the Vatican, but the little synopsis for a little reminder said that they're mercenaries doing it for money. But They get some new people sent in to help them out. Basically, it's vampire hunters. I actually enjoy the movie more than the book, simply because uh, I didn't get into the style that the book was written in at the time that I read it. I mean, it wasn't bad. It just didn't work for me. But still, if you like the movie, read the book. If you're just a fan of vampires, vampire hunters in general, that sort of thing, it's not a bad book to read. Vampires with a dollar sign by John Steakley or Stakely. Followed that up with Angel Haunted by Jeff Marriott, a media tie-in for the TV show Angel. This one is set a little later in the series. Doyle's gone. Spoilers. Cordelia has moved into her own place, and her roommate is a ghost. And in this story, Cordelia still, wants to be an actress. I suppose if you've watched the show, you would know these things. Cordelia wants to be an actress, and she has a chance to be on a reality show where the contestants have to spend 5 days in a haunted house. She works with a vampire. Her roommate's a ghost. Easy peasy. But while she's there, while they're filming, she has a vision because she has inherited Doyle's vision abilities. And so she's she's stuck in this house being filmed. It's Big Brother reality show, haunted house kind of thing. She's trying to convey the essence of the vision to Angel and Wesley Wyndham Price while she's on camera without just looking at the camera and saying, "Hey, Angel and Wesley, I had a vision." So that's fun, but it has to do with a contestant or a potential contestant that didn't make it on the show, who seems to have disappeared. And things are getting crazier and crazier while they're filming the show. So you've got Cordelia dealing with that, Angel and Wesley trying to decipher her message and then figure out what went on. It's a fun Angel book. I like the show. I like the books for the most part. That's Angel Haunted by Jeff Marriott. And then we have Hitman by Lawrence Block. This is the first in a series about a hitman named Keller. And essentially, excuse me, this book introduces us to Keller, who's a hitman going through a midlife crisis. He's in therapy. I think he buys a dog, gets himself a girlfriend, trying to figure out, how to get his life on track, while also being a contract killer. That's basically it. It's the first of a series. I don't remember if he gets a specific job that he's trying to carry out while dealing with his midlife crisis, or if this is more. I assume there's got to be some of that going on. I don't think it's just a character piece, but it's been a long time since I've read it. Obviously. But Hitman, Lawrence Block. Then we have Groucho Marx and the Broadway Murders by Ron Goulart. And so there's a character named Frank Denby that's been in these Groucho mystery books. He's Groucho's a writer for Groucho, and so they're sort of partners. I don't think I've mentioned him in the other books. It's Holmes and Watson essentially, but Groucho, after solving some murders out in Hollywood, Groucho is going to be on Broadway, and so he and his writer friend Frank Denby and Denby's wife happen to be going to New York, so they're going to Groucho and Frank and Frank's wife are going to take the train. Before they can even get on the train, some mobster shows up and says, "Hey, Groucho, I hear you've been solving these crimes. This other mobster was murdered. I don't think it was a mob hit. Excuse me. I don't think it was a mob hit. can you look into it? Groucho's like, I'm on my way to New York. Can't do it. They get on the train, run into this actress who's going to Broadway. Weird stuff starts happening on the train. They get to Broadway. Someone gets murdered. It might tie into that mobster that was murdered back in California. Anyway, all sorts of just craziness, shenanigans, Groucho Marx style stuff going on within this murder mystery. And they're fun. I like these books. I like Groucho Marx, and I like that type of humor, wordplay, and all of that. And they're interesting mysteries. So that's Groucho Marx and the Broadway Murders by Ron Goulart. I have one book that I can show you, and that's the next book that I read in July of 2002, and it is Savage Membrane by Steve Niles, a Cal McDonald mystery. Most people, if you know the name Steve Niles, I would say most people know him as the writer slash creator of 30 Days of Night, the comic book made into the movie, made into a whole series of comic books and novels and all sorts of stuff. And he's done tons of stuff. Right over there, I got a book that collects his Batman work. And he's done zombie stuff and Frankenstein story, vampire story, obviously 30 Days of Night. Takes on a lot of the classics, puts his spin on them. He's done traditional stuff. But my favorite of his works is the Cal McDonald stuff. Cal McDonald is a hard-boiled detective in the vein of Sam Spade or Philip Marlowe, but he's living in a world of monsters. Not everybody knows or can see that there are monsters in the world, but people like Cal McDonald can see the monsters. His partner is a ghoul named Moloch. So in this particular book, people are dropping dead all over Washington, D.C., and the cause is a mystery. The bodies are unmarked, yet all brain matter is missing from their skulls. It's just easier to read that off the back. So that's the mystery that he's dealing with. Cal McDonald's just such a great character. He's a substance abuser. He's not, he's tough, but he gets his ass kicked a lot. And I love the character of Cal McDonald. And I think this might actually be the first thing I read. There's tons of comics. I have some. I need to get, and I've had some in the past that I don't have anymore. But I need to get like the omnibus that has all of it. But the book is illustrated, so there's a few pictures, maybe half a dozen or so inside from Ashley Wood. But yeah, if you like hard-boiled detective stories and you like a little horror thrown in, Savage Membrane by Steve Niles, Cal McDonald mystery, absolutely love it. I do think this is. I think I read the prose Cal McDonald before I read any of the comic book Cal McDonald stuff, but there you go. All right, we're moving along, but now we're going to get into some stuff that I don't remember very well at all. Clan Novel Trilogy, Tremere, Book 1, Widow's Walk by Eric Griffin. This is a Vampire the Masquerade, World of Darkness novel, part of a trilogy. And so it's following the events of the Clan novel series talked about in previous videos, 13 book series. The Sabbat has taken over New York. Sabbat are the bad guy vampires. They've taken over New York, but the Camarilla, who are the good guy vampires, trying to take it back. The Tremere, one of the vampire clans, working at doing that. I think eventually they're able to regain New York, but Antigone Baines is our main vampire, our main character. She's part of the Tremere, and she's just dealing with everything that's going on in this sort of ongoing battle for New York with the Sabbats, and there's a secret group doing things, and someone's trying to assassinate the prince. So just typical Vampire the Masquerade kind of things going on. A lot of infighting, a lot of politics, vampire politics. So that's Clan Novel Trilogy, Tremere Book 1, Widow's Walk by Eric Griffin. I followed that up with Lost in Space, Promised Land by Pat Cadigan. So this came out because of the Lost in Space movie that had William Hurt, Matt LeBlanc, Gary Oldman. I don't remember who else was in it. I've never actually seen the movie, but I was a huge, huge fan, still a huge fan of the original TV show. I have a box set of the entire TV series. So this is about, it was called Space Family Robinson. So it's about a family and then a few other people who were on a mission out in space, and they get lost. They're lost in space, for those of you who don't know. And basically every episode of the show was them. They're just trying to find their way back home. And every episode, they end up on a different planet. Just trying, and something happens. Adventures, weekly adventures, as they try to find their way back to Earth. I think that's where they're trying to go. In the show, anyway. Anyway, so all of that, just in case you didn't know what Lost in Space was. So Promised Land, based on the movie and a little bit on the TV show, but like if you look at the cover of the book, it's very clearly Matt LeBlanc and Gary Oldman, and there's somebody else on there. But in this book, the Jupiter 2 is the name of their spaceship, and it gets beamed aboard this giant spaceship. Huge. That's no moon kind of spaceship. And it seems like a paradise. Maybe they could settle down here. Your wishes seemingly come true. But of course, nothing is ever as good as it seems when you're in that kind of situation. So the Robinsons and their companions have to figure out first that it's not the paradise it seems to be, and then what's going on. Can they change things? Do they need to escape? Lost in Space, Promised Land by Pat Cadigan. All right, the penultimate book for July of 2002. Clan Novel Trilogy, Tremere, Book 2, Widow's Weeds by Eric Griffin. And in this one, because of events in the first book, Antigone Baines has been exiled from the Tremere clan. And so has she been framed? What's going on? Basically more vampire politics. Who's trying to kill the prince? And what is this secret group that seems to be manipulating things behind the scenes? I think. More Vampire the Masquerade stuff. And then I finished the month with Clan Novel Trilogy, Tremere, Book 3, Widow's Might by Eric Griffin. And this is the book that ties everything together, resolves all of the conflicts. Is Antigone going to come out on top? Is the Camarilla going to maintain control of New York? What's going to happen? It's all going to be answered in this book. So it's fun. If you like World of Darkness, Vampire the Masquerade stuff, this isn't a bad trilogy. And that's it. That is what I read in July of 2002. My question, very simple. You a fan of Lost in Space? As I said, I've never seen the movie that was made. I have not seen I believe it was Netflix TV show. Although I hear that's not bad. But, so can't speak to those. Loved the original TV show. I need to watch. I haven't watched it in ages. But I have that box set, which even has like an unaired pilot. Um, and but yeah, I loved it. I couldn't wait to watch it when it was on when I was a kid. There's, I was very very young. There's one particular episode that horrified me. I was scared me out of my mind. But I liked the characters, except for Dr. Smith, very annoying. Um, and although for those of you who might not remember, if you have seen the show, Dr. Smith started as a very devious, straightforward, evil, devious character. He's the reason they became Lost in Space. And it was later episodes that it became the sniveling coward, still devious, but now a sniveling coward uh, that most people, I think of when they think of the character from the original show. But in the beginning, he was not like that. But yes, I'm a huge fan of the show. I really have no interest in watching the movie, but I may eventually check out the TV show that was on Netflix. What about you? Did you watch Lost in Space? Are you familiar with it at all? Have you seen the movie? What did you think of that? Have you seen the Netflix show? What did you think of that? Um, Thoughts on Lost in Space? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. And if you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is at Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH5757. If you're on Blue Sky, I am at EL Smith. That's all I've got for you this week. So until next week, read more books.